Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming and being a part of this press conference. Thanks for sharing this with Oklahomans. You know, right now we're facing a serious situation here in Oklahoma due to the ongoing federal shutdown. SNAP benefits will not be replenished by the federal government on November 1st. Okay, so just remind Oklahoma this is a federal program. And due to the shutdown right now, fighting that's happening in Washington, D.C., they're not going to be replenished. Unfortunately, SNAP benefits are not the only item that can be affected at Oklahoma. Should Congress fail to pass this continuing resolution, the federal, just the numbers that are affecting Oklahoma in November are $205 million. And if it continues into December 1st, it will be a minimum of $350 million that we are shorted in the state of Oklahoma for some of these programs. Simply put, Congress needs to act. I want to clarify, this is a federal issue, and there is what we call a clean CR, meaning it's just a clean bill that continues the funding of the federal government. And right now, the Democrats are not passing it. So I'm so proud of our federal delegation. They have voted on it every single time to pass and open the federal government. And we need, I think, 6 more Democrats. We've had 3 Democrats have come over and voted for the CR. There needs to be 6 more for it to pass. So what are we doing here in the state of Oklahoma to help? Well, we're continuing to push DC for action. We're also mobilizing and working to make sure that Oklahomans can weather this storm. We're talking to all of our state agencies, our federal delegation. We've been in constant contact with them, the legislature here in the state of Oklahoma. We're talking to our churches, nonprofits, ask everyone to assess the situation to figure out the path forward. So the current situation, it's complicated when you're dealing with these federal programs. But the state, I just want to remind everybody, the reason we're fiscally disciplined as a state is because you never know what's going to hit us. You never know what's going to happen. They don't own personal budgets. You have to be fiscally disciplined. Oklahoma is in a very, very strong financial situation. We have the largest savings account in our state history. Constitutionally, maxed out the rainy day fund. I can't put another dollar in. We've got as much money as we could possibly put in there. However, if we use state funds, whether that be from a rainy day fund or from other sources, the federal government has said they're not going to reimburse us, or it's not likely, or they can't guarantee it. So before resorting to rainy day, we're going to beef up other programs that we have. So we have the SDE, our Department of Education. We've got WIC. We've got other programs that are here to help. Which some folks behind me, we've got people from the nonprofits, different state agencies here to answer questions as well. We're working with our legislature to understand all the options that we have as a state, if this continues for any period of time, to take care of our fellow Oklahomans. That's the main thing. But it's also, I want to remind Oklahomans that now is the time for us to step up as fellow Oklahomans, the Oklahoma standard, neighbors walking with neighbors. We're best known all across the country. People talk about the Oklahoma standard. When times get hard, the Oklahomans step up. So that's what I'm encouraging all of my fellow Oklahomans to do. We can go, we set it up when I first came into office, was to be a neighbor. And I know that passing laws in Oklahoma City or Washington, D.C. Don't really do anything unless you have neighbors walking with neighbors. You have people helping one another out. So all of that is important. We need to have neighbors walking with neighbors. So I encourage you, every Oklahoma, go to beaneighbor.org. And if you need food assistance, that's where you go, beaneighbor.org. And you can find a list of local churches, some of the food banks, the nonprofits in your area that can help you bridge that gap. This continues for any given time. Next, I encourage all of us that if you're not on food assistance, then to encourage you to shop at your local grocery store. And the reason that's important, when you think about kind of the consequences that pass to something this major, some grocery stores in the area, they're heavily reliant on SNAP recipients, people spending money in the grocery store. So it can have some trickle effects out. So whether you're buying food to donate to places like the food bank we're in today, or just going through your regular grocery haul every week, support your local grocery store. And the other thing, I've got some great guests behind us that kind of boots on the ground in different communities that we're going to open up to questions. That they understand everyday needs and what we need to do to help our fellow citizens that may be in a needing some assistance during this time. So I know Oklahomans are going to step up. We're going to bridge the gap, and I'm going to continue to work with our federal delegation, our state delegation, our legislature to make sure that the impact on Oklahomans is minimal as possible. And so we're asking the churches and nonprofits to step up. At the end of the day, big picture, the federal government they need to quit fighting and solve this problem. They need to fund this clean CR and stop pulling politics into it and trying to throw other policy items in it. This is called a clean CR. I mean, it's a Biden era funding that they're just continuing, and it needs to be funded. We need to put this. I think all governors across the country have spoken in unison to say, hey, let's fund the federal government and let's talk about the policy at a different time. So with that, let me turn it over to Lyndall Fields, our superintendent of vegetation, kind of give you some thoughts, and then I think we'll hear from the folks. So, Lyndall.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Take just a few minutes to share with you things that happen in SED programs and schools may be able to take advantage of. First of all, let me say ensuring that every child has access to healthy, nutritious, and both of the top priority. Schools around the state, and certainly the state of public education, live the ongoing financial challenges faced by families, on the find schools and communities about which they certain programs encouraged by us, especially students in need. First of all, our child nutrition specialists have been providing guidance and training over the last few days to help schools expedite certain applications for these programs. So as it pertains to free and reduced lunch, schools should encourage parents and guardians to complete the application for free and reduced price meals as soon as possible. Applications will be submitted anytime during the school year when hospitals' financial situation changes. Once approved, it would children will receive free and reduced lunches for the rest of the school year. So families that have been affected by income loss and reduced work hours, the government shut down and they qualify for this lunches. Schools are also encouraged to participate in at-risk after-school SNAP program. This program provides a reimbursement for nutrition for children in after-school programs. These are low-income areas. Schools are attendance ability to attend for 50% students qualified. Great opportunity to take advantage of it. So as always, we want to thank our school districts for all they do to ensure that children receive nutritious meals every day. Please reach out to us in the community, assistance for us, guidance for this application process.
I'm Stacy Dykstra, CEO of the Regional Food Bank to our facility. I have the privilege today of sharing a few thoughts on behalf of both food banks. So our food bank here and our dear friends at the food bank of the Surrey, Oklahoma. I wanted to start by just a little snapshot of what our partner pantries are already seeing in terms of change. So we are seeing a very large and uptick of people who have never come to a food pantry. We're seeing 37% increase in people coming and asking for help for the first time. And that brings us to SNAP. SNAP is an amazing, effective first line of defense to make sure every family has the food they need on their tables. Our food charity system, which is what we need in this state, provides one meal for every 9 meals that SNAP funds. I just want to make sure that we're really clear about that. What we are doing as food banks, we are being so deliberate and intentional to find every food resource we can find and to deploy it in the most effective and efficient way we can in partnership with our amazing partner network. We're talking to that network constantly to understand what they're seeing and back what's evolving to make sure that we can respond as quickly as we can, or as many makers as we can. There are ways that you can help us. We have a plan in place. We would like to double our distribution for each month that this goes on, and that would cost an additional $5.5 million a month. Our friends at Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma have a very similar plan, working hand in hand, and that is their budget amount as well. And that is just the double of doing there. It doesn't really do anything to fully address this issue. I just want to be very clear about that. But we are very committed to doing everything we can do on that front. So what's most important right now is funding, because we can buy food very, very inexpensively and get it repurposed back out into our community as soon as possible. So and if you can't help financially, there are other things you can do. We're always in need of canned meat, hearty soups, canned vegetables, and canned fruits. And you can bring those to food banks or to any of the partner pantries directly. Also, you can use your time and volunteer with us. Both of our food banks always have opportunities for volunteering, but we might want to think about the partners out in the community. If you go to our websites and put in your address, you will find pantries near you, and I guarantee you that the uptick in service they're providing, they could really use that. I also want to take this opportunity to say we are so fortunate. People in Oklahoma do not want our neighbors to experience hunger, and we know that in the food banks because people year after year so generously give to make sure that happens, and we are so grateful for that. And I'd like to just end by saying time is now, right? We have to come together, we have to support one another, and most importantly, we have to use our voice to let the federal government know to open the government back up to ensure every person in our state has the resources they need to grow. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Cody Anderson. I'm Senior Pastor of Place Center Fellowship in Meeting, Oklahoma. We're a multi-church campus here serving Northwest Oklahoma. And we've been a part of a conversation of readiness from churches like Eaton all the way to Guyman, churches in Tulsa, churches in Oklahoma City, Hill City, Midwest City. We've just taken on a task with our team to connect as much as we possibly can, to have conversations of whether or not we can't serve at these specific times in crisis. So there's two things that we see happening in the state of Oklahoma. Number one, we all know just the spirit that Oklahoma carries. And we also want to thank the governor for his initiative in these conversations that were taking place a couple of weeks ago to begin to ask churches to begin to respond. And this is what we've been seeing. We've been seeing churches come together with emergency packages, boxes, where they can serve 7 meals for some of them. Some of them are 14 meals. We're seeing this take place in multiple areas of the state. It's encouraging to me. And so what I want to share is a couple of things that we can practically do as the church, as Christians, as fellow Oklahomans that simply care neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, to help our communities be stronger. And that's simply take the time. Don't just shop for yourself, shop for others. As churches, go, be prepared, encourage one another to come together, get the emergency boxes put together. And if we just take the system of 5, this is very, very simple, but it's very practical and it's impactful. If 5,000 churches in the state of Oklahoma, between nonprofit and churches that do exist in the state of Oklahoma, they're shy of 6,000, but let's just take the principle of 5. If 5,000 churches respond this weekend, today, and they begin to put together 50 boxes of emergency food, and they do that twice a month for the ongoing purposes, not just because of the pending crisis that we're looking at, but because this is a serious issue that exists in our state, food insecurity. But if 5,000 churches will focus on 50 boxes of emergency response, and they do that twice a month, just do the math. That's almost 500,000 people that are served in our communities, in our areas, and it helps relieve the pressure off the incredible job food banks do. Secondly, if you are a church, if you are a pastor, and you know the resources that you have in your county, in your city, give those handed out to your people immediately. We have the greatest resource in the state of Oklahoma. And it's not the federal government. It's not what government can do. It's what we can do for one another. We are the greatest resources that are available to serve in this crisis. There's something that is said often by a lot of pastors. I hear it a lot. And it's the fact is, well, it is going to reopen. And we pray that it's going to reopen. We pray that things are going to change, that right minds would come together and wisdom would prevail. I think we all want to see that happen. But if it doesn't, this is not a new point, because food insecurity in our nation is a serious thing. 1 in 5 children deal with food insecurity in their homes. Here in Oklahoma, we have some serious issues with food insecurity. We have a facility that we are building to help address food insecurity for the elderly and for veterans in our immediate area. So it's a serious issue that continues beyond November 1, beyond the upcoming months. But if 5,000 churches would begin to come together in their congregates and begin to establish emergency response packages, we can make a huge dent. Just that step alone makes a huge impact. Second thing that pastors will say is this. They'll say, well, listen, there's too many people that abuse the system. And that's true. There are people that abuse it, bad actors, and everything. But the truth is this, that when it comes to my values, probably your values as well, not one of us are perfect, and we probably all abuse some things called the mercy and the grace of God. I haven't been perfect in my life, but I'm thankful that due to God's mercy and His grace, He has responded to me in an incredible way, and it's given me a life that's been absolutely amazing through Christ Jesus. But the truth is this, is that if the church responds with mercy and not judgment, we can get a lot more done. It's amazing what happens in the tide of rhythm when we serve together. When we serve together, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, neighbors and neighbors, the governor's calling for, we can see a huge impact being made in this pending crisis. We can be ready and not simply just. Jesus said this in the Gospels. If somebody compels you to go 1 mile with them, go 2 miles with them. I believe the heart of Oklahoma is naturally, we've seen it through what we've been through at times in our history, that we're the second mile of people. But there's a time to be the second mile church, the second mile organization that will do what's necessary in these times that we're seeing now. And I'm so thankful for what the Food Bank does, and all of these organizations that stand up here and that are here today that help in incredible ways. We help each other. There's a rhythm that's created. We're better people for it. And it's in this act that even no matter what the federal government is doing, that we can still serve one another don't meet these needs and affiliate security determination. Let's not stop now. Let's let this continue. And in every church, 5,000, let's just say that, do that, 50 boxes, 2 times a month. We can help make it. Any other questions?
Governor Stitt, I have a question from Casey, who's a mother of 4 in Edmond. She utilizes SNAP benefits. She wants to know, what is your message to Oklahoma families, and is there a light at the end of the situation?
Yeah, I'm like most Americans, I've been really thinking that this thing is solved before November 1st. Just getting prepared in case it doesn't. I think the pressure is mounting. I believe that Congress is going to vote and fix this. It's in the Senate right now. House has passed it. Again, we need 6 more votes to fund the government. So I would tell her just to be very optimistic. I think the longest shutdown in American history is 35 days. Coming up to 30 right now, and it's a little bit different at that point. We're at the beginning of this year, and this SNAP program is more kind of crosshairs in the previous shutdown. So I think it's going to get solved. But if you understand Christmas, I want her to know to go to beaneighbor.org. Also, I think, I don't know if I said this, but if you need help, go to beaneighbor.org. It'll give you places to go get food. If you are a church, or back to what the pastor said, and you want to provide something, you can go to beaneighbor.org and you can sign up to be a provider. So that's the connection point. Government's trying to facilitate the state government is, and then we'll look at all other options. So I'll start the name there, and we'll make sure that she has.
She's also asking, what if you don't have the means to get to a food bank? What if you live in a rural part of Oklahoma?
So are there deliveries somewhere around?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the question. Yeah, you know, I think we have a 3-pronged approach here to both these things. Obviously, we're going to utilize our partners across the 77 counties we serve. And we have over 600 partner agencies combined. So we'll start there by putting food in, but also looking at food deserts, looking at the Indians where we know that a large community that receives SNAP, right? And looking at transportation, we put the message out, relying on partners a lot to communicate this as well. And we are committed to doing mobile distributions to the home of our agency. You look at rural Oklahoma, a lot of our clients that we used to have are probably going to look at shoes, but they might be walking. So we know that that's reality. We don't have a perfect plan. We have action. We want to make sure that everybody has.
No, I don't specifically have an update on all the different agencies. They're working on it. Again, nothing's happened until the first year, but we're looking at all those options. But like I said before, in the beginning, SNAP benefits alone, it's around 130 million. We'll have a shortfall in some of these programs. We've also got child care programs that will be affected. December 1st, we're looking at $350 million. And we have we're in a good situation, but these are federal programs. And it's very, very complicated because even if we wanted to put the money in immediately to solve November's problems, we don't even have access to those credit cards, the how SNAP benefits are delivered. And so we're having to work behind the scenes and to engage people behind me and all the folks across Oklahoma. That's why I'm thankful for the meetings here to share some of these messages for people to get the message out. Because November 1st, potentially, the government doesn't reopen. There could be really families that are struggling with kind of like groceries without weed. So that's what we want to get ahead of. We want to try to fix. And I want to remind people, this is a federal issue. We need to put pressure to make sure they get solved. All of our federal delegation has been voted 13 times. And all of our representatives in the state of Oklahoma have voted to open the government every single time. So I just want everybody to know we are trying Politics are being, you know, played at the level that is above just Oklahoma. It's trying to take it over.
Governor, so you mentioned earlier that our rainy day fund was maxed out. Can you talk about how much is in that fund and at what point the state would actually use that money?
Yeah, so the rainy day fund is it's close to $1 billion. It's about 15% of our overall GR, general revenues, kind of constitution, kind of set up. It's totally maxed out. We have some other funds as well. But to access the rainy day fund is set up in a way that you're only supposed to access it in a revenue failure, right? We don't have a revenue failure. This is a federal government problem, not a state problem. And so to access that, the max you can access is 300 million. And it takes 2/3 of a vote of the legislature. So we have to call people back for a special session. And then how do we actually get it delivered by November 1st on those cards? We don't have access to do it. So that's what I mean by it's not complicated to deliver that. And so we're looking at all that. Things continue through for Jeffrey, who runs Jeffrey Carville, who runs DHS, looking at all that, talking to the vendor that monitors those cards to see if we need to do something in the month of December or later on. What does that look like? How quickly we get that on? But again, we're encouraging all of our representatives across the country to do the right thing. Let's reopen the government.
But can you reach out to any minority groups, churches?
You know, yes. The church groups are calling that we've talked to them from Altus, Guyman, Tulsa, to Godibo, to Idabel, all in between. So again, all the churches, whether you're serving your community, go to beaneighbor.org and sign up as a place that can provide some of these assistance to your neighbors in your local community. And I love his math there. 5,000 churches delivering a box like that a week, every 2 weeks would be 500,000. So that'd be an amazing stat to see how this works. But plus we got WIC. It's not being disrupted. It's also monitored by Keith Reed with Department of Health. And so there's a lot of those programs that we've heard from Linville Fields with the Department of Education. Their programs are not being disrupted at this point. And so we've got a lot of hands on the same pile trying to figure this out. Sure. Yeah, so one of the couple of the tribal governments we talked to, I believe, yeah, you can take that, right?
So, the Department of Services, several tribal governments that go with the program, tribal state. Historically, it's been a very unnecessary process from the staff to get to tribal programs. We've had several conversations this week with that community right now, local tribes, to figure out a way to expedite shipping. So far, that industry hasn't been impacted, but now, however, you can't be on staff on that. So we're just trying to make sure that we can expedite that transition as quickly as possible.